Good evening, everyone. I hope we've had a wonderful start to our Wednesday midweek. It's hump day. You know how things go. Things tend to get a little bit more dicey uh, towards the middle of the week. As far as the day goes, it was kind of a strange but very readable and accommodated day. We were an inside day for the most part after taking the daily out of balance and getting up. We Today took out yesterday's low, so we took out the previous day's low and then put the daily right back into balance. So now we're in I'm gonna call it a 3-day balance. We'll call it a 3-day balance. Yesterday's high to the 17th low. That's what we're gonna call it. We're gonna call it a 3-day balance. Um, as you can see, I kind of have in this chart here, I got my Tesla chart pulled up as they are going to be releasing earnings after the bell. So just kind of want to see how that price action works out whenever they release and what kind of news they're going to have. As you can kind of see, we're in a bit of a balance itself in Tesla, kind of a inverse head and shoulders pattern going on a little bit. If you look at the bigger picture, right, kind of have a shoulder here, a head here, shoulder here, right? So kind of an inverse head and shoulders pattern going on for Tesla as they are in a balance. So we'll kind of keep an eye on them as I discuss what happened today. All right, so like I said, in today's price action, we basically we're trend down for the most part, or one time frame down all day long after we broke B's low. Well, really, after D period, we one time frame down pretty much most of the day. A period, we opened up below our afternoon rally high from yesterday, so that still stays intact for an upside destination. As you can see, A couldn't get there, B couldn't get there, C couldn't get there. We failed to get anywhere above that level in I period from the previous day, and then we rolled over. We failed to take out the IB high, the initial balance high. Remember that's the first two time frames low and high, so A's low to B period's high. Uh, so that was the initial balance right here in this area. That was the initial balance. We didn't take it out. We didn't take it out to high, and we took out the low finally in G period, and that's when we decided to go trend on the day, is in G period. Um, we opened up inside yesterday's value, inside yesterday's range. Uh, Pretty bad risk reward, no matter how you looked at it. Trades were not as accommodating if you were in the first few time frames A, B, C, D. I didn't start trading until F period when we had continuation of the one time frame and down, and I was actually taking longs in F period and in G period because at the time value was just kind of in this range. Now we have value overlapping the lower. So when I describe value, what I'm talking about is you see these blue lines right here, like where my cursor is pointing. We have a blue line here, right? And then we have a blue line here. That's where value is. That's 70% of the day's price action is in that area. That's where value is. And then outside that is overvalued or undervalued, right? So this is where value was at the time, was just kind of in the IB, basically the same as previous day's value. And then pretty much was just rotational. So I was just taking trades inside that rotation. Looks like we're getting some movement up. Did they release? Oh, pause real quick. Not that I can see. Huh. Maybe just some shorts getting out. I can't remember who else was supposed to release earnings after the bell, but we'll continue on. End period's kind of releasing some pressure there. Get some, get a little bit more zoomed in here, a little bit more personal. So, like I said, we've pretty much traded inside the previous day's range um, most of the day, and then finally in G period, we took out because we were one time framing down and in D, E, F, and then in G. We took out the IB low, the initial balance low, and then we took out previous day's low. That green line that you see right here, this green line, that was previous day's low. We took that out, which means we put the daily back into a balance because the markets don't just go from bull to bear. You got to have some type of balance. So we're in a 3-day balance where price will trade, and then we'll kind of see what kind of continuation we get after that, after we break out of that balance. For now, bulls or anybody that was short covering, which may have been the cause of this recent rally, uh, they did what they wanted and then came back in. Like I said, as we had Beige booked today and then some earnings that were being released throughout this week. So maybe that's kind of all they wanted to do was shorts cover, get out, wait for some more market generated information, some more uh, economic data from some of these companies as to what they're going to be doing in the long term, what their forecasts are going to be. And then, the market will kind of read on that and we'll see what we do. For now, the market was too long, and so we sold off. And D, E, F, G, H, and I in the intraday, the market got too short, and we relieved some of that short pressure when J took out eyes high, uh, H is high, and filled the single prints and put us back into the range here. Um, we tested the 20-day moving average, stayed below it for maybe 20 minutes of the day and then pop back above it. We hit the 12 wide downside destination that I was describing. So that was kind of a interesting thing. After we took out the low day, we got right to that 12 wide puck, and then from the 12 wide puck, we got right to that 20-day moving average. So that's just kind of what happened today. I'm gonna go ahead and remove these destinations. Oh, and then right after that, right? So after we took out the IB low in G period, we created a set of single prints from A's low to H's high at the time. That's where one set of single prints were. And then after I period or after G period in H, we actually had a small set of single prints that I decided to go and fill, and that was right at the 20-day moving average. So we filled that in I period after we got the afternoon pullback low from the 17th. We hit that, found some buyers, some short covering, and then we began to rotate back up. Kind of a bell-shaped curve, right? Uh, for anybody that knows bell-shaped curves, got a curve, you know, we had pretty much a mean reversion back to the middle of that curve. Um, but yeah, it was an interesting day and kind of fun to read. So we filled that set of single prints in I period. J pops I. We get some more stops, some more short covering, add some long stepping in, and then we take out H is high. We go to fill the single prints in J period, and then after that we did nothing but chop around in K, L, and M. Curly, Larry, and Mo here did nothing but chop around in anticipation of the close. We got 8 wide. That's nothing too significant. Um, Nothing I'm gonna carry forward. Um, it was a very interesting day. Let's go ahead and get rid of some of these destinations and I'll talk about my trades. Um, so, first things first, uh, I took a long in the F period against value low at the time, uh, which was basically fading the edge because we had been rotational most of the day. So that just means, we come down and then we kind of rotate back up, and then we come down, then we kind of rotate back up. So you could have taken longs, you could have taken shorts. Um, I was taking longs in F period. against value low. I got long at uh, 37.08, right in this area, right in the area. I got long 37.08, and then I exited my trade somewhere in right before the opening at 11. I had a two lot on. We rotated up. I was kind of expecting to fade the edge, and it worked. I got out one of my contracts at 37.11, and then was hoping we'd rotate back up a little bit higher to 37.15, which was right around C period's low. Was hoping we get back up to where POC was at the time. Remember, that's point of control. So I was hoping we get back up to that, and then roll back over. But instead, we just pushed up right below the opening and then decided to roll over, and I exited that trade at break even. We had also been one time framing down at the time, so I wanted to make sure I got out of the trade before we set a new low on the day. I then went long in G period against F's low. So G opened up, and I went long against F's low, kind of thinking, all right, um, we'd have a little bit of a mean reversion and get back up to where POC was at the time. But G, and I was also talking in the chat room today that if G couldn't get over the opening and get up to POC, then that might be a nuance for and kind of a sign that we're going to make lower lows on the day. And we did exactly that. So it was kind of a cool conversation to have with my mentor about it. Um, but yeah, I went long to get back up to the opening. Uh, I got long at 325, 37.03.25. We pushed up in a quick fashion, and I got out for a quick uh, 4 point profit at 37.07. So that was a pretty good uh, trade. I decided to take another long when it pushed back down lower again against the previous day's low because we decided to roll over. Um, I got long at 3,700. My out was below previous day's low. Well, we flushed pretty quickly, and I got out of that trade for a loss. Um, and then I decided to take another low, another long after we created a new low and broke the previous day's low. Because I was like, maybe that's all they want to do. We'll fade the extreme and see if we rotate back in. Well, I was wrong on that trade as well, so I took another loss there. After that, I kind of just determined things were changing. I could kind of see it on my other charts, on the other intraday charts. I could see it in the 5 minute and then and on my 1 minute chart. But I could see in my 5 minute that we were beginning to reject that 5 EMA or the 9 EMA on that pretty regularly. So I decided, all right, let me get short. So I decided to then get short in uh, H period. I wanted to wait and see if we held the single prints, and we did. So in H period, I decided to get short around 82, and at this time I'm trading the minis, so 1 point equals $50, so I'm getting out for a couple scalps at a time. So we pushed up, I got short at about 82.50, and then I got out on the pushback down to 79. So that was a good trade there. Then it was kind of just an ebb and flow trade from that point forward. I took a few more shorts on pushes back up, and then got out for a couple points back down. Did that a couple times. I recycled it maybe like a full 10 lot in G period as we kept pushing up and then coming back down, pushing up. Every push up I shorted and then sold or I bought back on the way down. Uh, so made good money there. Uh, I took another short on a larger pushback up to 87, which was a really good idea because it was against the 20-day moving average, the single prints, one time frame down at the time, and the 9 EMA on the 5 minute. We pushed down pretty decent, but it wasn't as much as I'd like. So I got out for just a simple point gain because it actually pushed down pretty good. I could have gotten out for like a 4 point gain, but I wanted to see us roll over a little bit lower to the low of day where I would have gotten out. But instead, once we pushed back up, I just took it out for a quick point gain. Figured I'd put $50 in my pocket. After that, I decided to wait a little bit. I didn't trade an I period because I didn't know what we were going to do. Because after we had pushed up, we were just kind of battling right here around 87, 88, and I wasn't liking the price action, so I wanted to see what we did in I period. I clearly filled those single prints, and then in J period, I figured, all right, they filled the first set of single prints. Maybe we don't hold the second set of single prints. And then we go up and maybe get close to the opening, and then back to where Paca was at the top. Because at the time we're one, two, three, four, five, we're six wide up here at C's low. So Pac, this point of control where you see this yellow line here, was up here. So that was where point of control once was, and I was thinking, all right, well maybe we fill the single prints or leave some short pressure, get above the open, and then get back up to Pac. I was kind of right about the main thing, which was filling the single prints. So in J period, we opened up, and I got long uh, right around 96 because we had pushed up initially. The H is high. Got into the single prints a little bit, but we hadn't filled it, and then we backed off. The 144 on the 1 minute chart was also there at the time, so that was kind of causing some ruckus. So we backed off the first time, and I decided to get long um, to go fill those single prints because I was like, we couldn't get any extension in I period. We filled the single prints there, so shorts are definitely starting to cover. Somebody's bottom feeding. Let's go with the trend here. So I was good on flipping that. Got long 96, a two lot, and then got out at 37.01. So it was a really good gain on that one. Excuse me. There was a really good gain on that trade. After that, after J period, after that one trade right there on that two lot of the minis, that made my day. I finished up on the day pretty good. Roughly 25 points on the day. Cannot complain. And I just kind of sat back and watched K, L, and M chop around and do their thing. Um, we'll go ahead and put in my destinations for the day. We'll go ahead and put in the high of day here at 40.75. 37, 40, 75 was the high of day here. I hope this is all making sense. Uh, I'm not just talking out my ass. Hopefully you guys are being able to follow along and kind of understand. If not, that's okay. Just stick around and we'll figure it out together. My voice is starting to go out on me as I'm coming down with a cold, so if I start to sound a little sniffly, a little stuffed, that would be the case. I got way too big there. My bad. All right. So there's our destinations. There's nothing in between. We have a no afternoon rally high, no afternoon pullback low. We just end with the day's high and the day's low. We are now in a 3-day balance. This whole area where I'm highlighting is our balance. That whole section is now our balance. So we come out of this balance to the upside, then the daily will resume uh, going up. If we come out of it to the downside, then the daily will now be one time framing down, and then our target is 35.9121. All right, because at that point that would mean, all right, we're rejecting the 20-day moving average once again as we're not finding acceptance above. If we roll over, we get this low day here. We have single prints there, so we might find a bid. If there's enough supply, then we'll continue to flush down to the yearly low. I'm not sure if that's the case. I don't know what's happening. That's kind of what balance means. The market's waiting for more market-generated information to come in, and then we'll see what happens. If we find acceptance above this 20-day moving average, then you'll see us rotate back up to the high. We'll take out this high. We'll take out that afternoon rally high. We get this high day, the 10 POC, and come out of balance to the upside. But just keep in mind, the weekly did just come into balance. Tesla still hasn't reported yet, so We're going to ignore that for now. But the weekly still hasn't come out of balance. The daily went from one time frame and up after we came out of this balance here. After we came out of this balance zone, we one time frame up for 1 day, and then we turn it over today and put us in a 3 day balance. So now our new balance is here. This is our new balance zone. This whole section is our balance area now for the daily. The weekly is still balance. Weekly is this balance here. The weekly balance is always going to be larger than your daily balance. And then our monthly is still one time frame and down. So maybe because of the larger picture and we're getting closer to our month's end here, maybe we close inside September's range and then roll over. Who knows? But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you were able to follow along. Hopefully you learned something. If not, please leave a comment down below and maybe I can address it and kind of explain something a little bit more. Hope you all have a wonderful day and we'll catch you in the next one.